It was not like Norman Withers to be disturbed by the night sky. He was an astronomer after all. But in those stars last night, it almost felt as if he had intruded somehow. As if someone, or something, glared back at him through his scopes. Absurd, of course, but he could not shake the sense that something had marked him in some way. Was it just coincidence, then, that his face looked especially haggard this morning, almost as if he had aged overnight? Something creaked in his bones, and they felt fragile as he nervously scribbled a note contacting his close friends. It might be too late for him, but if he was right, it could mean a hideous threat to all humanity. Norman was not used to praying, but now he did so, hoping that it was not too late. Hello everyone, Catweazle here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to our brand new board game playthrough of Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. It's been a while, it's been about 8 months I think since my last board game playthrough. Unfortunately, I'm still strapped for time. Time is going to be a problem, so just to manage expectations, normally when I do a board game playthrough, it's normally a couple of days in between each episode. Well, I might be able to do that occasionally, but most of the time it'll probably be a week or so between each episode, I'm afraid. So just to manage your expectations on that. But I will do the best I can. Okay, so Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. What's the plan? Well, we're going to be playing a thematic scenario again by Wolfpack 48, good old Gil. And this time we will be playing Dust to Dust, and this is the most difficult scenario, he assures me, out of all of his thematic scenarios. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it for a laugh. If we fail, we fail. Let's see how we go on. First of all, what I'm going to go through is, well, I'll just mention I'm not going to go through the rules. I've done 11 other playthroughs of this game. So if you go and have a look at those, you'll see all the rules in them. Obviously, as we go through the game, I'll be going through the rules anyway, so you can catch up as we go along. In this introductory episode, I've already done the vast majority of the setup just to save time. Again, if you want to see me set up the Arkham board, the Dunwich board, and the Kingsport boards, there are previous videos out there where you can see that. The Arkham board, that's in every single one. But the Dunwich board, if you go and see my Dunwich horror playthrough, I'll go through that board in detail and the mechanisms for that particular expansion. Similarly, with the Kingsport expansion and board, I go through that in detail in There Is Something in the Mist. So if you go and have a look at the introductory episodes for those, then you will get a full rundown of each expansion board. We're not going to do that this time. We're just going to go through the scenario itself, the ancient one, and the investigators. That should save us a little bit of time, hopefully. So, talking about the ancient one, here he is. This is Quachil Uttaus, and as you can see, he's an ugly little spud, isn't he? To quote Ghostbusters. But there he is. He is Footprints in the Dust. And we'll just quickly go through. He's got -3 on his combat. His worshippers. Quachil Uttaus is worshipped by wizards who call upon him for immortality. Warlocks gain +2 toughness and endless. Investigators do not collect clue tokens from defeating a warlock unless they can ignore the endless ability. He's got 12 on his doom track, so not too good, but not too bad either. Footprints in the Dust. While Quachil Uttaus stirs in his slumber, shuffle the 3 dust decks at the start of the game and place them face down on this sheet. We'll not put them on the sheet, but we'll put them to one side. At the start of each turn, the first player must either spend 2 clue tokens or draw a card from the lowest numbered dust deck that still has undrawn cards in it. Yep, so that's pretty bad. He's physically immune and magically immune. And as far as the battle goes, we're going to ignore this. Now, normally we ignore it because I say when we get to the final battle, we'll go through it. This time, we're not going to go to the final battle. If we fill up all of the Doom track, like Azathoth, that is going to be the end of the game. Why? Because of Quachil Uttaus' attack. Quachil Uttaus touches the first player, who ages to dust and blows away in the wind. The first player is devoured. And that's it. You don't roll a dice or anything. He just touches you and you turn to dust and are devoured. We've got 4 investigators, so that's just 4 turns. 4 turns and everybody turns to dust. It's not worth doing the epic battle. We'll just say that it's all over and it's finished. So that's Quachil. We'll pop him over here. That's where he's going to live. We mentioned the dust decks. Here they are. They're numbered. And 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in each. And they get progressively worse, as you can tell by the backs, which slowly turn to dust. These are, it's a relative thing. They're all bad, but these are less bad than the final dust deck here. So we're going to take these, and as instructed, we'll just give them a quick shuffle, and I'll pop them up here. We've got a card holder up here, so we'll have, that's the first. This is the second. Again, another 4 cards, 4 in each. And final one. Da, 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 da. And we'll pop that up there. So that's the dust deck sorted out. Okay, what are we going to chat about next? Let's chat about the actual scenario itself. So we've got 3 boards, as you can see. Arkham in the middle, Kingsport at the bottom, Dunwich at the top. Why are they in that configuration? I just find it aesthetically pleasing, because Dunwich, it's to the northwest of Arkham, if you actually see a map of Lovecraft Country. So I've put it to the north, and I've put Kingsport to the south because it's to the south of Arkham. And but you can have it in, you can put these in any configuration that you want. I just like it this way round. And what about the Mythos deck? Well, we've got a Mythos deck of 25 cards. I'll just get them out, which isn't a lot of cards. But the scenario instructs you to put your Arkham Horror Mythos and include the Miskatonic Horror Arkham Horror Mythos and take 16 of them. So I did that, shuffled them up, pulled out 16. With the Dunwich Horror Mythos, you give them a shuffle and pull out 5. And the Kingsport Horror, you give them a shuffle, pull out 4. That ends up with, 25 cards. So we've got 25 cards here. We'll shuffle them up. I've already shuffled them up, but we'll do it again for chucks. And give them a cut as well. So that is our Mythos deck. We'll pop that back in here. And I'll just pop one of my mini Cthulhus on the top because they serve as our Doom tokens. So every time I pull a card out, I'll know to put a Doom token on. So we've set up our Mythos deck. There's 25 cards. If we run out of cards, then again, we're just going to say that that's the end of the game. We'll use it as a timer. But we probably won't even use half that. He's only got a Doom track of 12, so we'll probably use half, 3/4 of those, if that. Right, apart from that, what have we got to set up? We've got to set up 2 monster cups. Now, the first monster cup, or monster bag, is here. It's got loads of monsters in, as you can see. There's loads of them. And how did we sort of, set that up? Well, what we did was we took all 9 cultists out. So out of the total amount of monsters in Arkham Horror 2nd Edition, we took 9 of the cultists out. That's every single one. We will not see a cultist during this playthrough. We put in a selection of monsters. So we took 16 circle monsters, 3 diamond monsters, 3 hexagon monsters, 23 moon monsters, 14 plus monsters, 3 slash monsters, 12 square monsters, a star monster, and 2 triangle monsters, and we put them in the cup. Why am I talking in a load of shapes? Well, if we just go in and pick one out, here we've got a Bayaki, which is a circle monster. So he's one of the 16 circle monsters that's in this cup. And the reason for that is when you seal a gate, you use the dimensional symbol on the gate, the shape, and that sends certain amounts of monsters that are on the board back into the cup. Yeah. And because we've got a stated amount of gates that I'm going to go through in a bit, we just manage the amounts of each symbol in the monster cup and match it in a minor way to the gates that are actually in the gate cup. So pop that up there out of the way for the time being. And, oh no, we'll fit here. We'll put it down there. So that's the normal monster cup. We also need an Immortals cup. And that has 3 monsters in it. And those are Warlocks, 2 of them, and the Wizard Whately, which you can see here. Now, they have a change. We've already talked about the Warlocks. They are going to get +2 toughness, so they're going to be 4 toughness, and they're also going to be endless. Yeah, and endless means you can't take them as trophies, and you can't put them back into the box. Yeah, they will always keep coming out on the board. We'll go through that in a bit more detail shortly as part of the scenario, because essentially these are going to be spawn monsters. And they're a little different from your normal monsters, plus the fact that these aren't normally spawn monsters. It's a scenario thing that is making them spawn monsters. Remember when we chatted about worshippers? Says wizards want to become immortal. Yes, that's why they worship Quachil Uttaus. Well, these 3 guys are immortal, and that's why they keep coming back, why they keep respawning. So we've got to put 1 on the Strange High House in the Mist. We've got to put 1 on the Witch House. And good old Wizard Whately, he also gains 2 toughness. So he'll be 4 toughness as well. And he will also get the Endless ability. Pop him up on Wizard's Hill. Up there. So that's where he goes. So that's the 2 monster cups. What else? Gates. As I was chatting, when I was talking about the symbols on the monsters, we've got a set of gates in here. Now, the reason they're in a bag and not in a stack is because it's a mixture of Lurker at the Threshold gates and normal gates. And if I just show you a couple that I haven't used, because we've got specific gates in there, that's a normal gate. And I'll get a Lurker at the Threshold gate that I haven't used. And this is a Lurker at the Threshold gate. So if we had them in a stack, I'd obviously be able to tell which was which. So I've popped them in a bag. Now, what's the difference between the 2? Well, the Lurker at the Threshold gates have additional things that you have to do with them. Some of them may move, for example. They'll have a move symbol on. Some of them are split. So you've got 2. It's like a double gate, and you can choose which other world you go in. Whereas others, if you fail to close it, you'll be devoured. Still, other ones, if you fail to close it, there's a sanity cost or a stamina cost, things like that. So they have extra things to do with those gates. Makes them slightly harder. And these are just normal gates where you just close them by, if you can roll the fight or the law test and close them, you don't have to do anything else. So that's the differences, and that's the reason why we've got to put them in a bag. Now, what are the ones in the bag? Well, we have 4 Yuggoth gates, we have 4 Lost Carcosa gates, we have 4 Another Time gates. And then there's 8 other gates to make it up to a total of 20. And the 8 other gates are just, they were just picked randomly. Why do we have a preponderance of Lost Carcosa, Yuggoth and Another Time? Just for thematic reasons for Quachil Uttaus. So we want to make sure that there's a few of those gates. Lost Carcosa is a otherworld for Dunwich, as is Another Time. Yeah. And the other gate is, what is it? Yuggoth. Yuggoth is a gate in, I think it's a normal gate for Arkham Horror, isn't it? Yes, it is. So they are just in there for thematic reasons. So they're all in there with 8 other gates that were picked randomly. And when we have to get a gate, we'll delve in the bag and we'll pick one out. So that's the gates. As regards the actual gate cards themselves, it's got a massive deck of the gate cards because we've included the Dunwich Horror Gate cards, the Kingsport Horror Gate cards, the Arkham Horror Gate cards, plus all the Miskatonic Horror Gates. So that's quite a stack. And we will go through that whenever we visit another world. In addition, is there anything else? We have... Oh, yes. We've already placed the Warlocks and Wizard Waitley. That's fine. We had an investigator pool that we could choose from. We had to pick Norman Withers. And that was his little narrative right at the beginning of the video. He is our first player. Remember, the first player always has to deal with the dust deck. And it's slightly different in this particular scenario. It said on Quachil Uttaus's Ancient One sheet that you have to pay 2 clues or pick a dust card. It's going to be slightly different, but it's going to be Norman that's doing that. He will be first player. The dust deck always tells you not to transfer who is first player. And that is poor old Norman. He's going to be stuck with it. So apologies to Norman, but it's Gil's fault. Wolfpack 48, he wrote the scenario. So poor old Norman, he's stuck with it. The other 3 I chose from a list, and the list was Agnes Baker, Daryl Simmons, Dexter Drake, Harvey Walters, Patrice Hathaway, Tommy Muldoon, Zoe Samaras. So out of all those, I picked at random. The first one I picked was actually Patrice Hathaway. Why isn't she here? Well, she is a bit overpowered, I'm afraid. And she's got tremendous clue gathering abilities, and she can also transfer clues. In Arkham Horror, you can't transfer clues unless you are Patrice Hathaway. You can do it in Eldritch Horror, but you can't do it in Arkham Horror. Consequently, because of the dust deck, that makes her very, very strong, because she can hoover up clues and then pass them to whoever the first player is. Makes it a whole lot easier. So if you're planning to do dust to dust, and you want it to be a little bit easier than it otherwise would be, pick Patrice. She is one of the allowed investigators. But I thought, let's have it a bit more difficult. So what I did was, even though I picked her out first at random, I've sort of put her off to one side, and what we'll do is we'll use her as first reserve. So somebody gets killed or goes bonkers, she will replace them. And after her, my next pick was Sister Mary, and I put her on the board. I set her all up, picked all of her common and items, unique items, all the rest of it. Then I realised that I had used her in the previous Arkham Horror playthrough, Tendrils from Below, and I don't like doing investigators in the same game one after another. So thought, I'll have to change it. So I changed her. So 2 of my first picks out of the bag, I was forced not to use. Then after her, I did pick out Zoe Samaras, which was good news because I quite like Zoe. She's unhinged and great fun to play. Then Agnes Baker, the waitress, and finally Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cop. So those are our 4 that we're going to start with. We'll go through them in a bit more detail later. And what to go through next? Oh yes, as part of the scenario, we have the children of Yamil Zakra. Now, Yamil Zakra is like a planet out in the cosmos, and the star it revolves around is like this evil star, and anything its light falls upon, like, turns to evil. And any organism that sort of evolved on Yamil Zakra is just tainted. And these organisms from Yamil Zakra in the dim distant past have come to Earth, and they've sort of infiltrated our gene pool a bit. And there are certain, like, individuals who have the taint of Yamil Zakra, and they are the children of Yamil Zakra. And if you haven't guessed already, that is obviously these 2 warlocks and the wizard Whately. So let's have a chat about them. At the start of each turn, the first player, who is Norman, must spend, instead of 2 clues, he must spend clue tokens equal to the number of immortals in Arkham to avoid drawing from the lowest numbered dust deck. So, Quachil Uttaus, you've got to spend 2 clues, or you've got to draw from the dust deck. Not in this particular scenario. We have got both warlocks and the wizard Whately, so it will be 3 clues while they are on the board. When I say in Arkham, that means Arkham and the expansion boards. So that's a clarification that is actually in the game itself, because originally, when they made the game, obviously there was only the Arkham board, and a lot of the cards had the words in Arkham, and then subsequently they sold a load of expansions, so they had to send out a clarification to say wherever it says in Arkham on a card, it means Arkham plus the expansion boards. So all 3 count towards that, and as it stands, as we start, he'd have to pay 3 clue tokens in order to stop drawing that card from the lowest numbered dust deck. Carrying on, investigators who fail a combat check against an immortal must draw from the lowest numbered dust deck that has undrawn cards. So anybody, not just Norman, anybody who fights one of these guys and fails a combat check will have to draw a card. So we've got to be very careful when we take these guys on and make sure that we actually win the fight. If we win the fight, they will come off the board, but we cannot take them as a trophy, because remember, they're a spawn monster. We also cannot return them to the box, apart from one way I'm going to tell you about shortly. So they'll sort of be at the side of the board. And until such time as they come back onto the board, so say we only have 2 of them on the board, then good old Norman would only have to spend 2 clues. If there's only 1 of them on the board, he'd only have to spend 1 clue. Yeah. But because they're immortal, they can come back. So we'll go through that. When an investigator defeats an immortal, they may immediately spend 2 clues and return the first dust deck to the box to return the immortal to the box rather than to the immortal's cup. So, if we do manage to kill one, we could spend an extra 2 clue tokens, put it into the box. So this is a way that we can get rid of them for good, but there is an additional price, and that price is we've got to put the first dust deck into the box as well. That is bad, because that will only leave us the second and third dust decks, and they are worse. They get progressively worse. Similarly, say we've done that and we kill another immortal, we could pay 4 clues, put it into the box, and put the second dust deck into the box as well, leaving us with the final third dust deck, which is the worst of the lot. Again, you've got to make a tactical choice here, use some strategy. You might want to do that near the very end of the game. Say you've got quite a few gates sealed, you're looking to seal the final gate, then would be a good time to do it. right at the beginning of the game would be a bad time to do it, because it'll only leave you with 4 dust cards left, and those 4 dust cards, yes, that's correct, they are the worst ones. So you've got to make sure that if you do start spending clues to put these immortals back into the box, that you have enough time to finish the game. Okay. Anything else? Oh yes, Wizard Whately. Now, the 2 warlocks are yellow bordered monsters. That means they don't move. Yeah, so they're stuck in the Strange High House in the Mist and the Witch House for the time being. However, the Wizard Whately is a black bordered monster. He moves. He's a circular monster, I think. Let's just check. He is. He's a circular monster. So if we get circular monster movement, he's going to move. The bad news is, if you just look up there, it's a bit difficult to see, but I'm just pointing at one there. You see like a circle with a yellow halo around it? Well, there are 3 of them in Dunwich, and they are vortices. Now, if a monster goes into a vortex, what normally happens is he gets put in the box. And we put a Dunwich Horror token on the Dunwich Horror track. The track's just at the top there. It's got 3 spaces. And if you put 3 Dunwich Horror tokens on there, the Dunwich Horror comes out. You do not want that, because it is the worst monster in the game, apart from ancient ones. It is really, really hard to kill. And it is a nightmare. Hence, it's called the Dunwich Horror. That is why the Wizard Whately being an immortal is a real pain in the rear. Because he keeps coming back, he could go into the vortex multiple times, bring out the Dunwich Horror, and then all hell breaks loose. So if we are going to kill one of these immortals, put it into the box along with the dust deck and a couple of clues, then he's the one to do it to, because he being in Dunwich and being able to move means he could go into vortexes, and we just do not want that to happen. So again, that's another layer of strategy that we've got to be aware of. However, there is another way to stop him going into vortexes. I'll go through that now. Got something called the Endless Cycle. Now, during the Mythos phase, if there are no immortals on the board, we draw 1 monster from the Immortals Cup and place it as follows. On a 1 or a 2, Strange High House in the Mist. On a 3 or a 4, Wizard's Hill. 5 or a 6, the Witch House. So, say we killed all 3. They don't go back into the box, but they're off the board. Yeah? So, they're off the board, and then we've got to put 1 back. So, what we'll do is we'll roll a die. Yeah? Select one of them, and it might be the Wizard Whately. So, say we select the Wizard Whately. Then we roll a die for where he's going to go. So he could go to the Strange High House in the Mist, or he could go to the Witch House. And that's brilliant, because that means he's on a different board than Dunwich, and he can't go in a vortex. So that's the other way. If we can kill him, get him off the board, then when we roll to see where he's going to come back on the board, we get to put him in, say, Kingsport, or put him into the Witch House in Arkham. So that is another way that we can stop him going in a vortex, and that would save us a hell of a lot of pain. Okay, anything else to mention? Oh, rifts. These are the rifts here in Kingsport, and they come out onto the board when these tracks, there's 4 spaces beside each rift, and what happens is you pull out a token from this bag. These are all the rift tokens, and just show you one. You pull one out, you have a look on the back, and it's got a design on the back, and I think this one is 607 Water Street, which is here. And what you do is, depending on what the Mythos card had on it as regards monster movement, you put it next to the rift that it's meant to go on. However, if this was the last one, so if 607 Water Street, say the other three were full here, and this rift came out onto the board, normally it would go to where the Mythos had a the Mythos card has a location on it. It'd normally go there, but for the purposes of this scenario, it will actually go to 607 Water Street. That is just for the first one that fills up. Yeah, so it could be this one, could be this one, could be this one. It just depends which ones of these and where they get placed, depending on the monster movement symbols. And the first one will always end up in Kingsport. The others, they will probably end up either in Arkham or in Dunwich. But the first one will always end up in Kingsport. That wouldn't happen normally, but it's one of the rules of this particular scenario. And I think that is... Oh, if an investigator is devoured through the dust deck, so Norman, we're looking at you, because it's looking grim. If that first player gets devoured because of the dust deck, what happens is the monsters in the Immortals Cup are all placed into Arkham. So if all three were off the board, then Norman got devoured through the dust deck, all three had come back on. Yeah. So that's one to remember as well. And we'd roll a die to see which one went where. Again, another way to possibly get the wizard Waitley away from Wizard's Hill. Ideally, we want him like down here or in the witch house. Allies. So we've got our ally deck of 11. 12? It's 11. And where have I got 12 from? Oh, the Doom track for Quachil Uttaus. No, it's 11. Now, we can see these. And what I've done here is I've picked some out for... I think I've picked 5 which are Arkham Horror allies, base allies. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 of those. Then we've got 3 that are Dunwich Horror. Yeah. And we've got 3 that are Kingsport Horror. I thought, you know, we may as well make sure we've got allies from each of the boards that are on here. Again, no problem with seeing them. This is free information. So there you go. Those are our allies that we've got a chance of getting. Is there anything else to mention regarding allies? Oh yes, the Wizard Waitley. I was going on about the vortices. If he goes into a vortices, as well as the getting a Dunwich Horror marker, we will send the terror track up by 1. If we send the terror track up by 1, obviously we start losing allies. So, yeah, that's something else to be aware of. Another reason to get the Wizard Waitley away from Wizard's Hill by hook or by crook. And talking about monsters, let's have a look at our handy reference card from Miskatonic Horror. We've got 4 investigators, so let's read what our limits are going to be. Our open gate limit will be 7. It would be 8 if it was the Dunwich and Innsmouth expansions, but it's Dunwich and Kingsport, so it stays at 7. If we were using all the expansion game boards, so Innsmouth as well, it would be 9. But as it's Dunwich and Kingsport, it's only 7. Our monster limit is 6. Says 7 there, but we are using 2 expansion game boards, so that means our limit is going to be 6. Our outskirts limit is not 4. Again, we're using 2 expansion game boards, so our limit is 5, which is why I've put a die there with 5 pips on it to remind me, because that is sort of thing that I forget. So I've popped that there just to remind me. And because we've only got 4 players, we only draw 1 monster at a time when a gate opens. So always useful to have that little reference card. So I think that is it for going through the ancient one and going through the actual scenario itself, the Immortals and that funny rift thing we've got to do and all the rest of it. Hopefully I will be able to I'll be able to remember all that we shall see. But I have all you guys to keep me on the straight and narrow, and Gil as well. Gil wrote it, so hopefully he'll be watching and he will be able to point out where I'm going wrong as well. And then I will be able to fix it for the next turn, hopefully. But I'm not going to make any mistakes, am I? No, I'm too good for that. It's all going to go like a dream. Or a nightmare, depends how we go on. Right, what's left to do? Well, we've just got to go through the investigators now. So what I'll do is I'll pull away and we'll go through them each one at a time. I'll go through their story so far, their personal stories, which we're going to use, and what I've picked out for them. Also, because we're using the thematic starting possessions, there are a few changes to what's written on their cards. Not many, just a few. And obviously, through those starting possessions, there are some things they can have, some things they can't have, just to make it, you know, you don't want Sister Mary, for example, going around with, you know, a stick of dynamite and a Tommy gun. Well, you do, eventually, but would she start with them? Probably not. So that's why we use the starting possessions. So I'll be back shortly. We'll go through each of our investigators, starting with Norman Withers, because he's our first one. And once that's done, then we will be set up and ready for turn one. So I'll see you shortly. And here we are with Norman. So let's have a look at Norman, our first player, as denoted by the huge Cthulhu, which he'll probably get to keep until he dies. But hopefully not. Hopefully he won't die. Okay, Norman Withers, the astronomer. He's got 6 sanity, which is excellent. 4 stamina, which is not too shabby. His home is the administration building, so we will put his marker there, no problem. Fixed possessions. Now, he should have $3, 3 clue tokens, and 1 spell, Find Gate. However, we are using the thematic starting possessions, so he's got an extra $1. He does get an extra $1, which is brilliant. And random possessions, he gets 1 common item, 1 unique item, 1 spell, and 1 skill. He's got 2 focus. His speed and sneak. Sneak's good, speed not so good, but I'm sure we'll be able to sort something out for his speed, I think. Fight and will, again, he's an old man, so his fight's not great, but his will is fantastic. 4 is a very good score. Law, again, 5, that's good. And he's got a couple of spells, so that'll come in handy. And his luck also goes up to 5 if we have to use it. So not too bad on his abilities there. His special ability, in the stars, any phase. Whenever Norman closes or seals a gate, he may choose any dimensional symbol other than the moon. The gate is considered to have that dimensional symbol instead of its normal dimensional symbol for purposes of removing monsters from the board. And that could be very important for us. Very important. But if you remember the makeup of the Monster Cup, we do have 23 monsters with a moon on them. So there's a reason why we've got 23 monsters with a moon on them in the cup. And that's because of his ability. But there's still plenty of other monsters that don't have a moon symbol. And hopefully we'll be able to get rid of some of the really bad ones if they come onto the board, thanks to Norman. I think we'll have Norman as a gate closer. And hopefully he will stay alive long enough to do it. He's going to struggle for clues, but we'll see what we can do. I've already got a plan, and hopefully we can put it into operation. So that is Norman's card. Let's see what he's picked up. So we'll go through his common items first. And he's got 1 common item. And he pulled out the King James's Bible. So it's a tome, movement, exhaust, and spend 2 movement points to regain 1 sanity and gain +1 to horror checks until the end of the turn. So that's pretty good. And, you know, it should come in pretty handy for him, so quite pleased to pick that one out. Then let's have a look at his unique item, and this was a good pick. I was very pleased with this one. He got himself a weapon, which was a fetch stick. This is a magical weapon, so any phase he can exhaust before making a combat check to gain +7 to that check. Now it's 2-handed. It's a Dunwich unique item. but it's $8 worth. Very good. We don't have... There are not many monsters that are magically immune. I think the bloody Wizard Whately is, but... but other than him, you know, there's only a few. And I think Quachil Uttaus is magically immune as well, but he's physically immune, so, you know, it's not going to make much difference. So Fetch Stick, not a bad pick. So that is his unique item. And let's have a look at his spells. Well, one that he gets straight off the bat is Find Gate, and this is always very useful. It's got a casting modifier of -1, a sanity cost of 1, magical spell, obviously, movement, so that's the phase that you can use it in, cast and exhaust to immediately return to Arkham from another world. So he only has to be in an other world for 1 turn instead of 2. That saves loads of time. I go on about this all the time in this game, but saving time is key. It's the biggest thing you can do. The game tries to make you, like, waste time. You don't have any time. We've only got 12 turns. So a card like this, which can cut down our turns in another world, brilliant. So Find Gate, always useful. The other one that he picked out at random was Law Monster. Casting modifier -1, sanity cost 1, magical spell. It's a Dunwich spell. Upkeep, so you can use it during the upkeep phase. You may cast and exhaust while in Arkham to choose... What's that? Focus. To choose 1 monster on the board, including the sky, but not the outskirts. Move that monster to your current space. So if you want to get a monster onto your space to kill it, then you can use Law Monster. I don't think he'll be using that too much, but he might be able to hand that off to somebody else as part of a trade. So that's his spells. His skill that he picked out was a Dunwich skill, which was Psychology. When you make any will check, add +1 to each die you roll for purposes of checking for successes. So if you roll a 3, it actually becomes a 4 becomes a 5, so on and so forth. So it's like being blessed on your will checks. Yeah, a 4 and a 3 and above are going to result in a success. So Psychology, very good. Put that in here. And after that, we'll have a look at his personal story. So his personal story is here. And let's have a quick read. Norman knew that to prepare for the coming of the beast, he'd have to delve deeply into obscure places and lore. Ideally, if he could study the type of energies that were found in the beast's home dimension, he could perhaps discover a weakness. So if we flick that over, signs unclear. So in order to pass, if Norman has 3 or more gate trophies, place the path is lit in play. That's going to be difficult because we're going to struggle to give him any clues because he's going to be spending them all to try and stop getting dust deck problems. A fail is if Norman is lost in time and space, place Set Adrift in play. So that's his personal story. Pop that there. As I say, I think we'll struggle to actually achieve that. But if we can prevent him from getting lost in time and space, at least that'll be something. After his personal story, we'll have a look. We're using the relationship cards. So this is his relationship. I've decided our last player is going to be Agnes. So this is his relationship with Agnes. Anytime either you or your partner passes a spell check with 2 or more successes, the casting investigator may exhaust this card. If they do so, and when you do so, you and your partner will gain 1 sanity. So that could be extremely useful for him and Agnes. Agnes has also got a good lore, which is why I've put her last, so they could have that relationship card. Okay, finally, the last thing to go through is his story so far. So let's read that. The stars hold secrets, both great and terrible for those with courage or curiosity enough to look. While Norman would never claim to be especially courageous, he'd be the first to admit that he has an inability to ignore a mystery. So when 6 stars vanished from the section of the sky he was studying, he couldn't just let it go, not even when his colleagues told him that he was just imagining things and sent him home to sleep it off. It took him years, not to mention the near death of his career, but he eventually found his answers in a book that none of his colleagues would be caught dead reading. An ancient tome. It described the stars and the sequence in which they would vanish, even detailing the date when their disappearance would take place. It was a sign, the book said, of the end of everything. It was the harbinger of a great beast that would tear asunder all that man had wrought. Norman isn't sure what he can do to stop the beast from destroying the world. He knows that he isn't very strong, but if an answer can be found in the stars, then he will stand in the path of destruction until his dying breath. Good old Norman. I think you're the right man for the job, Norman. Fantastic. Okay, so that is Norman Withers. I'll go away and we'll pick our second investigator, who is going to be Tommy Muldoon. I'll be back in a minute. And here we are with Tommy. So let's go through Tommy's card to start with. So Tommy Muldoon, the rookie cop, 6 sanity and 4 stamina, just like our friend Norman. 6 sanity is amazing, and 4 stamina, as I said, isn't bad. His home, he starts at the police station. Fixed possession, $2, 2 clue tokens, 2 common items, which are the map of Arkham and a rifle. And his random possessions are 2 common items, 1 unique item and 1 skill. His focus is 1. His abilities, speed and sneak, not too clever actually, but we're all right because I did well picking the common items, so we should be okay there. Fight and will, his fight's good. I mean, it can go up to 5 and his will's not bad either, and he's got the rifle, so no problems there. Law and luck, he's not a particularly learned kind of person. His law only goes up to 3, but his luck goes up to 6, and that could be vital. So let's have a look at his special abilities. He is a hero. Mythos. Before a Mythos card is drawn, Tommy may cause 1 or more monsters that are adjacent to his location to move to his location, regardless of their normal movement. So what he can do is he can get those monsters onto his space and then fight them in the next movement phase. That's the plan. Unfortunately, though, because you do it before the Mythos card, well, in fact, no, that won't affect it. Even if the Mythos card says move, they won't move because they'll be on the same space as an investigator. So ignore me. You just get a monster onto your space, and then you can try and kill it the next turn. He's also on the force. Any phase, Tommy may not be arrested. In addition, it only costs him 1 gate trophy or 5 toughness worth of monster trophies to become Deputy of Arkham, and that can be really useful for his speed. Unfortunately, he hasn't got a gate trophy yet, and he doesn't have any monster trophies, but he's going to be our monster hunter, so he should get monster trophies pretty quickly. So we'll just put him down there for a second, and we'll go through those common items. Now, he got the map of Arkham. That came with him, and that just gives him an extra movement point if he exhausts it. So that helps out with his poor speed. But the thing, and he's got a rifle. The rifle's down here. Yeah, so we'll go through this first because it came with him. Physical weapon, +5 to combat checks. It's 2-handed, but +5 to combat checks. We love it. He is our monster killer, baby. And what else are we looking at? The 2 that I picked out, I got really lucky with this one. The motorcycle. So we can exhaust that to get 2 extra movement points. Just the thing for Tommy Muldoon. So he can zoom around the board, killing monsters. That was an excellent pick of mine. Brilliant. And the other thing he's got is also extremely useful. Press pass. Any phase. Exhaust when you gain 1 or more clue token to gain 1 extra clue token. We are going to give this to Norman, because Norman will need clues, and anything that gives him extra clues, brilliant, because it'll help him keep those dust cards at bay. So we'll have to trade early on, give this press pass to Norman. So 2 good draws there. Excellent. Motorcycle and press pass. And that's it for his common items. He's got one unique item, and he picked out the alien device. This will also be very useful. It's a magical weapon, +2 to combat check. It's got an X in the corner. What that means is it doesn't have any hands. So he just has to have this on his person. So it will stack with the rifle. It'll give it +2. And it'll also, because this is a magical weapon, it means he can attack creatures that are physically immune. So that was a good draw as well. But pretty much any unique item you pull is a good draw. What is his... He's got no spells. He has a skill, which is also very thematic for him. It's bravery. Any phase, exhaust to re-roll a horror check. So that'll come in when he's fighting monsters too. So that was a good draw as well. Are there any changes to his possessions? No. Even though we did thematic starting possessions, he was fine. It's all of these, no changes to how much cash or how many clues he's got, so that's fine. Right, having done that, we'll have a look at his personal story. And Tommy had a bad feeling down in his bones about this assignment. Something told him there was going to be trouble, bad trouble, and he just might not get to walk away from it in the end. Ooh, poor old Tommy. So we'll flip that over. We need a hero. Pass. If Tommy is devoured, place giving his all in play. So if he does get devoured, at least we get something back for it. If he fails, if the terror level reaches 5, place where were you in play. So he'll probably get up to 5. We don't really want him devoured, but this is why I've put him second. Because if Norman gets devoured, it's not the replacement investigator that becomes first player. It's investigator number 2. It moves on to the second investigator. So at least we've got a chance of getting something good if Tommy Muldoon falls foul of the dust deck as well. So that's his personal story. We'll pop that in there. And his relationship card. So this is his relationship to Norman, and they are fellow travellers. Either you or your partner may exhaust this card to gain 1 extra movement point. So again, they haven't got the greatest movement, both Tommy and Norman, but we've got a few cards, we've drawn a few cards that are going to help them out. So they should be able to zip around the board quite a bit, so that's good. Okay, so that's it for Tommy, except for his story so far. So let's have a read. Tommy Muldoon wasn't sure what was going on in this crazy city. He'd no sooner graduated from the police academy in Boston than he'd been loaned out to the Arkham Sheriff's Department. That wouldn't have been so bad, except some of the stuff going on in Arkham was right out of a bad horror novel. Weird creatures in the woods, people found turned inside out, and worse. Still, Tommy had sworn to protect and serve, and he would do his best to live up to those vows, no matter what. Besides, he had his trusty rifle, Becky. What could go wrong? Oh, Tommy. Standing in front of the police station, Tommy feels a shiver run down his back at the thought. Okay, Tommy, he mutters to himself. Time to be a hero. Yes! That's the spirit, Tommy. We love it. So, he is ready to go. Right, who is next? Next is Zoe Samaras. Let's take a look at her. And here we are with Zoe Samaras, the chef. Don't mess with the chef. Who was it? It was the chef who was hard as nails. It's that bloody idiot, wasn't it? Oh, what's he called? I can't remember his name. Him with a ponytail. The guy goes around like beating everybody up. I'll try and remember it. I'll try and remember it before we finish Zoe off. Anyway, she's the chef. She's got 3 sanity. Do you remember I said she's unhinged? Well, there you go. She's only got 3 sanity, which isn't very good. But stamina makes up for it because she's got 7 stamina. Her home is the train station. Her fixed possessions, $2, 4 clue tokens, 2 common items, which are a cross and a knife. And she has random possessions, 2 unique items, and a skill. Her focus is 1. As far as her abilities are, her speed's not bad, 4. Sneak's not bad, goes up to 4. Fight again, up to 4, that'll do. And her will, going up to 4. Her law is good at 4, and her luck is even better at 5. So she's quite well-rounded, Zoe, apart from the fact like she's completely hat-stand. Look at her. Her special abilities, killer instincts. Any phase, when Zoe makes a combat check against a monster or an ancient one with physical and or magical resistance, ignore that ability. That is huge. If the monster or ancient one has magical and or physical immunity, treat it as resistance instead. So this will affect... She's the person to go into Dunwich and deal with the Wizard Whately, because his magical immunity will turn into magical resistance instead. And, you know, if we were going to fight Quachil, she'd be the only one who'd have any sort of chance because he's physically and magically immune. She'd make that resistance, but even that resistance is pretty tough, so it's not worth fighting Quachil if it comes to that. So that's her. Are there any changes to that? Yes, there are. Instead of 4 clue tokens, she only gets 3 because of the thematic starting possessions, though she does get an extra $1 in compensation, so she actually gets $3. Let's have a look at her common items. Well, the ones that came with her were the cross, which she's currently got in one of her hands. That's a magical weapon. It's +0 to combat checks, but it does count as a magical weapon. +3, though, if the opponent is undead. And she gets +1 to horror checks with it. So it is well worth having. So she's got a cross. And she's also got a knife. And as you can see in a picture, this is the knife. Physical weapon, +1 to combat checks, 1 hand. She's not actually got that in her hands at the moment, because she's got 2 unique items. And one of those that I drew from the deck at random was the enchanted knife, which is brilliant. Magical weapon, +3 to combat checks. Her first actual unique item, as per the thematic starting possessions, has to be a weapon. So I just kept pulling through the deck till I got my first weapon, which was the enchanted knife. Which, seeing as like she's supposed to be carrying a knife, perhaps it's her favourite carving knife. It just happens to be enchanted. I don't know. Whatever. She's got an enchanted knife. And her other unique item is a healing stone, which will be very useful. During the upkeep phase, we can exhaust to gain 1 point of stamina or 1 point of sanity. We discard this, though, if the Ancient One awakens, but seeing as if he awakens, we're just going to call it a day. That doesn't matter. So that's the healing stone. She doesn't have any spells. However, she does have a skill, and she drew +1 sneak. When you spend a clue token to add to any sneak check, add 1 extra bonus die as well. So as well as the +1 sneak, if she uses a clue token, she'll be able to get a bonus die as well. So that's good. But she won't be doing much sneaking, to be honest. She's more of a like groin puncher. So very much like Tommy, she'll be going out to actually kill things. That's the plan for her. So let's read her personal story. This one's always good for a laugh. She's a star. As you have called me into service once again, my lord, so I shall serve. This city is thick and swollen with evil, like a rotten fruit. But I will bring war to these who pervert the natural order and call upon them false gods. Amen. So she's not messing around. God speaks to her, and like she's going to chastise the evildoers. So that is Zoe. We'll flip it over and see what she's got to do. So the Crusade, pass. If Zoe has 5 or more monster trophies, place a Grim Harvest in play. Fail. If Zoe is arrested or discards her cross, place Forsaken in play. But I think she'll be able to rustle up 5 or more monster trophies. No error. She's going to go out and kill things. So, brilliant. Put it in there. There we go. So that's a personal story. And her relationship with Tommy Muldoon, they are both skullcrackers. So either you or your partner may exhaust this card before making a combat check to gain +1 to the check. So that'll be useful as well, especially as they are both fighters and are going to be our monster killers. Let's read her story so far. The story so far. Zoe knew that she was special. She'd known it ever since God had spoken to her one night when she was 6 years old, the night that terrible fire took away her parents. He told her that he had chosen her from among all the people of the world to be his agent. She would protect the innocent and punish the wicked. Since then, he came to her in times of trouble, offering guidance and comfort. He has also come to lead her to an evildoer on several occasions. In each instance, with his aid, good triumphed. Then one day he spoke to her, telling her to come to Arkham, where she would face her greatest challenge yet. He has not spoken to her since. Now, as Zoe steps off the train onto the platform, she fingers her cross, feeling the wrongness of this place in her bones. Perhaps if she cleanses the city of its taint, he will speak to her once again. Yes, so she's completely crazy. But she's on our side, and that's what counts. So that's it for Zoe. Our final investigator will be Agnes Baker, so let's have a look at her. And here we are with Agnes. Okay, the waitress. She's got 5 sanity and 5 stamina, so quite well rounded. That is fantastic. She starts at Velma's Diner. Her fixed possessions should be $5, 3 clue tokens, a spell, which is Wither. Her random possessions are 1 common item, 1 unique item, 1 spell, and 1 skill. She has a focus of 2. As far as her abilities, speed's pretty good at 4. Sneak, not so clever. Fight of 4 is good. Will, 3, not so clever. Her law's excellent, though, 6. So, spellcaster. And her luck is 4. So, she's pretty beefy. Agnes Star. Okay, her special abilities. Memories of Conquest. Any phase, when Agnes casts a spell that provides a bonus to combat checks, the spell adds the number of hands it requires to its combat check bonus. So that is brilliant. She already has Wither, and guess what? That gives a combat check bonus. It's only 1 hand, but +1 is +1. Blood is power. Any phase, when paying a spell's sanity cost, Agnes may spend stamina for part or all of the sanity cost on a 1-for-1 basis. So she can carve herself up in order to save her sanity. Good stuff. All right, so that's Agnes's card. Did anything change with the thematic starting possessions? Well, yes. She actually gets an extra $1. So she's got $6, not 5. Other than that, everything is the same. And let's move on to her common items. She's got 1 common item, and this was a brilliant draw. She has got the Athame. And it's quite thematic as well, because Agnes used to be like a sorceress back in a previous life, and a Athame is like a sorceress's dagger. So physical weapon, +1 to combat checks, but it's +3 instead if opponent has magical resistance. Ooh, and it's +6 instead if opponent has magical immunity. So this is an excellent weapon for her. It's also an excellent weapon for Zoe. We may swap them over. Yeah, but at the moment the Athame is with Agnes. So that's her common item. And her unique item is Purifying the Town. This is a Dunwich one, and it's a mission, and it may be very useful. You've got to visit the police station, the newspaper, Ye Old Magic Shop, and South Church, and sacrifice a spell. And the effect is, once you do that, all rumour cards in play and in the Mythos deck are returned to the box. So this is huge. Now, we may not get a rumour at all, but just to have this in our back pocket is brilliant. Yeah. And what we might do is we might visit a few of these apart from, say, South Church or whatever, because you've got to do it in order, I think. And we'll just visit them. And what we'll do is, if a rumour comes up, hopefully a rumour won't come up, but if it does, then we've got a chance of getting rid of it at least by doing Purifying the Town. So that was a good draw. Okay, that's her only unique item. Her spells, she has Wither. This is what she came with. So Wither, casting modifier +0, sanity cost 0, so that's good. Magical spell, any phase, cast and exhaust to gain +3 to combat checks until the end of this combat. Remember that will be +4 because it's got one hand symbol and she has Memories of Conquest special ability. So that's Wither. And her other spell is not a combat spell, but it's the next best thing. It's a heal spell. So casting modifier +1, sanity cost is 1, upkeep, you may cast and exhaust. You and another investigator in your area gain stamina equal to the successes you rolled on your spell check. The stamina cannot be split between multiple investigators, but you know, a heal is just amazing. Yeah. So if any of our monster killers, you know, get a bit beat up, they can come and see Agnes and she can sort them out. So that's good, good, good. As far as skills next, well, she don't really need this. It's law +1. So she's got 6 law already, but you know what? Let's make sure that she casts those spells. So +1 law, and when you spend a clue token to add to any law check, you get one extra bonus die. So good, good, good. So a bit overkill, but that's what she drew. So that's what she's stuck with. Okay, so let's move on to her personal story over here. The bloody writing on these ridiculously small. So apologies that I'm stuttering a bit while I try and read it. She could sense it. The creature that destroyed her once before had returned to repeat the job. Last time she faced it, she was at the peak of her powers. This time she only had a few half-remembered spells and a couple of useful items. Hopefully she could find its weakness before it claimed her life once again. So there we are. Let's flip it over, see what she's got to do. The Destroyer. Pass. If Agnes has 3 or more monster trophies, place not this time in play. Fail. If Agnes is knocked unconscious or driven insane, place history repeats in play. So she's another monster fighter really, but with that huge lore that she's got, I think we can afford for her to also be a bit of a gate closer like Norman. After all, Norman's going to struggle closing gates because he won't have many clues. So perhaps Agnes will be able to help in that regard. Her relationship card. So she's the best of friends with Zoe Samaras. She's a waitress. Zoe's a chef. So let's go for this. If you and your partner are in the same neighbourhood, either of you may exhaust this card before making a check to gain +1 on that check. The Ancient One has awakened. This card may not be used, but getting a +1 on any check. Brilliant. So that is for her and for Zoe. Excellent. And if you remember, we had the relationship of Mystic Knights. So that's her relationship with Norman. So that's what they share. Okay, so we move on to the story so far. Agnes Baker may just be an unassuming waitress in this life, but in a previous life she knows that she was a powerful witch. In a time and age undreamt of in the modern world, she forced spirits to obey her and destroyed her enemies with terrifying energies. She might never have known of her previous incarnation had she not fallen from a ladder and hit her head while changing a light in the diner. But when she awoke in the hospital, she whispered one word: Hyperborea. Perhaps she knocks around with Conan. Even then, she would have dismissed her visions of a past life as simple hallucinations if it wasn't for the fact that the spells she dreamed of were real. Trying one in secret, mortally embarrassed to be even attempting it, she was stunned to see it take effect. Since then, she has been nurturing her new powers in secret, extremely careful not to let anyone else find out. But as Agnes finishes her shift at the diner this evening, a whisper in the air warns her something is coming, something that destroyed her once before in the ancient past, and she must be prepared. And prepared you shall be, Agnes. Fantastic. Okie doke, so that is Agnes Baker. Those are our 4 investigators. They are all set up, they're all in their places and ready to go and take on Quachil Uttaus in Dust to Dust. So thank you for watching this introductory episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for all the likes and dislikes, any subscriptions. Thank you so much. Anybody who likes this over at BGG, good on you. And anybody who upvotes like Catweazle over at the board game links, that's fantastic. Any followers on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, yeah, thanks very much. It's very kind of you. As always, thank you all for all the help and support. And I think that's it. If you've noticed any errors, anything I've done wrong, anything I mentioned that I said wrong, then by all means, please mention it in the comments. I will correct it next turn before we start playing. But other than that, I think that is it for the introduction and setup for Dust to Dust. So this is me, Catweazle, and I'm going to bid you adieu. I shall see you next time. Toodaloo.